Well, with me right now, I have Kara Waugh. She is currently the board chair for the Greater Jefferson County Foundation. Kara, great to see you. Thanks for being on the show today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So before we get into the County Foundation, we're asking everybody, if we come to Jefferson County for a day, where would you take us before we go home that night?
Well, we have a lot of choices, surprisingly, for a small town and, a rural area. I own a local retail business here, so of course I'd want you to come see my store. It's called Adela, so we'll shamelessly plug that. But really, we have a really rich downtown district. We have a lot of retail stores, especially for a town our size, and lots of great restaurants. I think we have more restaurants per capita than San Francisco. That's our tourism plug. So
yeah,
and lots of diversity. I mean, you can have sushi, Indian food, Asian food, all sorts of different things. So I would definitely encourage you to do some shopping and eating and drinking while you're here, because we have a great wine store and we have a couple cideries here that you can get all over the state now.
Yeah, it sounds like we'd have a full day of wining and dining ourselves.
Yes, you'd probably want to stay the night.
There you go. I just feel like Jefferson County and Fairfield kind of always punch above their weight class in so many ways. And one of those is the Greater Jefferson County Foundation, which in terms of our partners is one of the most tenured foundations. Can you give us a little bit of history on the County Foundation itself, when it started, some of its milestones, and what we really want to talk about today is your committee structure?
Sure. Well, we've been around, I don't have the actual date memorized. I should have looked that up. You might have to edit that out, Joe. We've been around for, I think it's 30 plus years. And I think one of the great things is a lot of the people, we have a couple people that serve as ex officio members who have been around since that beginning.
Okay.
And so they know the history. There was a home here that was sold to start the foundation. Those assets were then put in a trust to start the foundation many years ago. And we've just been fortunate to have a strong history and legacy of giving, especially the last couple of years. We've received several large estate gifts for different, things, unrestricted scholarships, those type of things. So I think we have such a great reputation that residents, trust us, and they see us as a great tool in their charitable giving toolbox.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up about the estate gifts, because some of our younger foundations, they're waiting for those things to happen. And in some respects, it just takes time. You said 30 plus years. You have to kind of prove your worth to the community that you're able to carry out people's legacy. And now you're kind of reaping the fruits of being around for that long, wouldn't you say?
Yes. And one of our most recent estate gifts was from a scholarship donor who had an annual scholarship with us for many years. And in the grand scheme of fundraising, not a huge amount, but it was a huge amount to her. So it was very valuable for us. And, she passed away last year, and we received a very large estate gift that surprised all of us, to keep that scholarship going and actually grow that scholarship to several scholarships. So, being a former fundraiser myself, I know that it does take time, and it's just always important to have those conversations.
Well, board leadership is really important for donors, I feel like. Tell us a little bit about what's your committee structure for the Greater Jefferson County Foundation, and why have you chosen to have those committees?
Sure. Well, that choice was made before I got involved about 5 years ago. But we have several committees, and really most of our work is done in the committee structure. We have a nomination committee, and they function when we have terms that are coming up, or we have a board member that, can't stay on or something like that, and we have a vacancy to fill. So when they're not doing that, they're a little dormant, but they're always looking for people. And kind of the same with our public relations committee. We, rise up when there's a need. We do have an ex officio member that helps with that. And he happens to be retired, so sometimes he has a little more time than some of us. And so he's done a great job of creating a calendar. So we have a press release every month Sometimes it gets superseded if we have a large gift that comes in, or if it's, a time that we're
Okay.
doing our scholarship applications, that type of thing. But there's always an education component to it. So we're always educating people about estate gifts or ways they can support the foundation. We did a lot of that in 2020 around stimulus package, the stimulus money. We
Okay.
had a little blitz about how you could donate that if you were in the position to do so. And then we also have a bylaws committee. Again, we don't change our bylaws very often. So that committee, regularly is looking at, our structure and things like that, but they don't have to meet all the time. Our finance committee, which I'm actually a part of as well, is probably our most active committee. We meet
Okay.
a couple times a year.
Yeah, it sounds like your committee structure aligns with maybe the core tenets of what you guys are trying to accomplish as an organization.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And I think, as board chair, my role in that is when we do have new people coming on the foundation board, it's to look at our the strengths and experiences of all our board members and try and plug in where they would best fit. We always ask, what committee do you want to serve on? And surprisingly, nobody ever wants to be on finance, which I really do think is the best one. And so I've coaxed a couple people to be on that, and I think they've been grateful for that experience, and it just gives them another perspective on the foundation. So
so maybe my kind of last question here is then, with so much work being done at the committee level, there are some boards that get hesitant about that because they want to know what the left hand's doing, while the right hand's doing this, right? How do you keep everyone kind of in lockstep?
Well, we do have a part-time administrative staff. Her name's Barb, and she's awesome. She's been around a long time. She's been involved with the foundation for a long time, even before being the part-time staff. And so she does a great job of updating everybody, sending out minutes right away. Our full board meets twice a year, and our board members are on multiple committees. So I serve on 2 committees, and then really as board chair, I could go to every committee meeting if I wanted. I don't, they invite me. Sometimes I go, I say, if you need me, I'll be there. And so there is a lot of cross work, I would say. I think 2020 was a challenging year for us because we decided to do some special COVID grants to help the community. And so that was definitely something that started at our executive level with our officers having that discussion. And then we, pulled in the full board. So I would say that, with Barb and then our committee chairs do a really great job of educating everybody. And then when we have those annual meetings, we actually semi-annual, we meet twice a year. We go through kind of a year in review almost of what the committees have been working on. We have 2 grant committees that do the granting. Last year, we invited all the board members to sit in on that because we were doing the COVID grants. But typically, everything that the committees decide then is communicated out to the full board, especially during the grant cycle. That requires full board approval. So I feel like we do a really good job of keeping people in the loop. And I feel like we do a really great job of recruiting people that can work autonomously. And that also are, they're walking the walk, they're talking the talk, they do what they say they're going to do. And so we don't really have to worry about people not meeting their obligation. I think we just have such a great foundation, kind of as a pun, a foundation of our organization, that we are able to, pluck people to be on our board that we know we can count on. And I think because of that history, we have people that seek us out and say, that's an organization I really want to serve and I want to be part of because I see the community impact.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like you guys have a great maybe rhythm. While the board may get together just twice a year, the committees do have that accountability to really carry the water for their piece. And then there's that constant communication in the meantime. So I think that what makes it works well.
Yeah, definitely. And most of us are involved in other boards and other nonprofits. And so I think that's a great experience we bring. I have 4 or 5 different organizations I'm involved with, and the same with all of our board members. I don't think anybody on our board is not involved in something else. So that's great because they bring that perspective, not only at grant time, where we can talk about different requests and organizations that need our help. But I think we, even in the pandemic times, we all have seen each other because we've been on other meetings together. And so it's really easy to keep people caught up, I think.
Yeah. So to kind of close our time together, I want to ask, as the board chair, just a resident of Jefferson County, what are you hopeful for the future of your county foundation?
I think for us, we have such a great, legacy to continue fulfilling. And I just want to see our community continuing to dream and continuing to bring us projects. I know, like I said, as a former fundraiser, sometimes I get frustrated because people will say, oh, we'd love to do this in the community, but gosh, it costs this amount of money. And I think to myself, that's not that much money, and we do have a rich history. We have a lot of very, hardworking, entrepreneurial people. There is a lot of wealth here, and I don't think people realize that sometimes. So I just hope we continue to dream as a community and put our vision out there, and put things together to make plans to do these projects and these community enrichment, improvements that need to be done to keep people here and keep people, like me, who was a native, was away for 20 years and decided to come back and raise my family here and own a business and, be active in the community. So I just want us to continue getting great applications for funding because we're in a position to help make all that happen.
Yeah, that's an awesome vision. Love the community dream. You guys can generate the financial resources to support it, and that will attract more giving from donors to the foundation for sure. Well, thank you so much for your leadership, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Joe.